Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WPwatercooler, episode number 204. Today's topic is recapping WordCamp Los Angeles 2016. We got a lot of people and a lot of new people on the show today. Let's go around the room real quick, get everyone introduced. We go in alphabetical order or whatever order my screen is in. We start with Adam. Adam, tell us all about yourself.
Hi, I'm Adam Silver. I was the WordCamp lead organizer for WordCamp Los Angeles.
Yeah, they're never going to let him do it again.
Oh. I am a WordPress educator, and I provide support and maintenance for small businesses in the WordPress space.
Nice. What about you, Jamie, what about you?
Jamie Currie. I'm a WordPress developer. I was roped in by Adam to be a volunteer organizer for WordCamp LA. I develop custom plugins. I have some out commercially, and I do a lot of private development work for clients.
Awesome. Good to have you. How about you, Russell?
Jamie, real quick, did Adam tell you were going to get paid too?
Wait, we're not?
Yeah,
that was coming.
Exactly. I'm Russ. I do things over at maintain.com, and I do everything WordPress in Las Vegas, just like Say, but half-assed.
That's how we're different, totally. The only way, though.
I'm not on all the things. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Sarah, what about you? And you're muted currently.
Can't hear you. There.
She's Sarah Weefold,
Sarah.
And she works for Zeek Interactive and is pretty kick-ass in general.
Zeek Interactive, and I lead the OC WordPress design meetup.
Yes, and I'm really cool,
for
and I'm super cool, and I spoke this weekend at WordCamp LA. And Say is super bummed that she missed my talk.
Awesome.
I'm Sarah Weefold on the things.
Okay, Say, now you have to do yours.
Hey, I'm Say, and I am at Say Read Media on all the things, and make WordPress, love WordPress, teach WordPress, do not speak or organize this weekend at all, but I did attend, and I also teamed up with this guy, depending on what side he's on, or down there, to do some hallway track, and that was really fun. So we'll talk about that probably a little bit. And the camera. We gotta talk about the camera.
Thomas, how about you? Tell us.
I am Thomas Patrick Levy, CTO at CodeBOX. Adam also told me he was going to pay me to help organize WC LAX this year.
I'm paying people in hugs.
Yeah, I don't like that though.
No.
My mortgage doesn't care about hugs.
You get stock options and you get the experience.
I have an adjustable hug mortgage. I'm pretty lucky. I just got in right at the right window.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, you can catch me at GoCodeBOX or at Thomas P. Levy, and yeah, we're doing things on WordPress.
Perfect. What about you, Steve?
I am Steve Zehngut. I'm the founder of Zeek Interactive, and I run the OC WordPress meetup. And I helped the guys out with WordCamp LA this week, and I organized the business track.
Sweet. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at jasontucker.us. And like Say said, we did a thing over at WPwatercooler.com/hallwaytrack. And you can follow us over at hallwaytrack on the Twitters. Cool.
Can we hear Sarah yet?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yay!
Woohoo! Awesome.
So my headset's broken. That's great. Oh well.
No problem at all. So Adam, tell us a little bit about where did you start in just running WordCamp this year, and how did that all begin, and why did they pick you?
And then we'll tell you what really happened right after that.
Yeah, really. Come on. Wow. So, how did they not know? Did they not know they were picking Adam Silver? Or
No.
I think it was the other Adam Silver.
They thought it was the NBA commissioner. They were clearly mistaken.
Yes.
Actually,
first of all, that was a joke because I didn't even know that was a thing. Adam, you are the only Adam Silver I know.
Thank you. So,
only one that matters.
First of all, Harvey was another Wrangler. He did help with volunteers as well. He couldn't be here. His Chromebook blew up. So I just want to thank him as well for volunteering.
That's what you get for a Chromebook.
On an organizer side of things. All right. So how did I get involved in leading?
There he was, minding his own business, as usual.
Alex Vasquez did it for a year, but he was on the team for 3 years, and he was just kind of, it was time to move on for him. He was tired of doing it, and there was an opening. And as far as the 5 of us from last year, I was the only one that really had any interest. So I stepped up and did it.
That sounds so bleak.
Adam, we have that in common because when it was here in Vegas, we drew straws and I got the short straw.
Right.
That's how I got it. So I feel like we have that in common.
Yeah. And also, you know, and I then from the process, I looked at everything that Alex did, and I did the opposite. So.
So you didn't sleep the entire time. That good on you.
Not my words. No, I'm kidding. No.
So did you take your glasses off?
Huh. Yeah. You know, literally, it's just a matter of I had interest in moving things forward. I mean, continuing WordCamp Los Angeles, and honestly, I talked to Alex about it yesterday. We didn't know who else would potentially do it if I didn't. So it could have been a whole new.
Here he comes to save the day.
How many years is this for WordCamp LA?
Oh, this venue was 4 years. Prior to that, it was at LMU for what, 2, I think. So at least 6 that I know of, maybe 7. I'm not sure how many years total, but at least 6.
Cool.
Adam, if you let me crash on your couch next year, I will do WordCamp LA. I'm just saying.
Huh.
So for like 6 months, you're gonna come live with Adam.
Because it's like having a baby, you know. It's like, well, not really. I mean, no. It's like
Rusting your house is like having a baby at your house.
Right. Nice.
Hey, so how many people ended up attending, and what did you guys do ticket-wise to, what was your stats there?
So total I don't know exact numbers yet. We sold 400 tickets. We had attendees of 400. A typical 15-20% didn't show up, but still paid. Based on that, we learned some lessons for next year that don't spend as much money on food necessarily.
Yeah.
Just, across the board.
Adam has a truckload of dinners and pastas.
We had dinner for 5 last night. Plus we had we have breakfast. Yeah, we have 24. I think I took 22, 24 lunches home yesterday. And that was just
maybe you need Russ to come sleep on your couch.
Yeah.
Eat all the leftovers.
That's all I'm saying. But like, it's supply and demand.
Right. So
I feel like Thomas just didn't understand that was the payment.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't take enough dinners then.
There you go. Also, by the way, one last thing. Steve Buscemi was Scott Buscemi.
Scott Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi's busy filming a movie.
It is WordCamp LA. That is kind of feasible. I'm just saying.
Steve Buscemi on screen. I saw Steve
Harvey.
Also, Steve Buscemi lives in Brooklyn.
Right. So Scott Buscemi was our sponsor wrangler. He was awesome. Raised a lot of money. That's helped out a lot. He's moving today. That's why he couldn't be here as well. I wanted to make sure he gets a shout out as well.
Wow, moving the day after WordCamp is over.
Yeah.
And he was like super excited about it too. He's like, yeah, obviously I would move the day after WordCamp.
Right. Yeah. So, but numbers were good. And we had. I'm actually. Had a great turnout for a Sunday. Great turnout. People stuck around the afternoon, except for Zehngut, but everyone else was there.
I didn't get to come on Sunday. I was really sad because, as I mentioned, I missed Sarah's awesome talk, which by all accounts was awesome. But I knew it would be awesome, and the topic was awesome, which is using improv techniques in project management, which I think is brilliant and awesome.
So just never negate. Always say yes and move things along, right, Sarah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Adam, they are all going to be put online, right? They are
all the videos will be put online. We're taped and will be put online within a week or 2. So yeah.
And it's only sometimes funny.
It
have to be funny.
So let's start with Saturday sessions.
Yeah.
So what were some of the highlights on Saturday?
Someone tell me. I unfortunately didn't sit. I sat in on maybe a total of 65 seconds all weekend because of.
Okay, wait. Adam, what were your highlights? And then we'll get to like hallway track and all that stuff. What were some of your favorite parts of Saturday?
The fact that WordCamp LA happened.
Okay.
Truth be told, it was a surreal moment from my perspective because 5-6 years ago, I was an attendee at OC, then I became a volunteer. Just moving up, and the fact that I led WordCamp Los Angeles, and it's not like I didn't cure cancer. I'm not digging ditches. It's not hard that way. It's just a lot of details, minutia,
well, and who's not trying,
and corralling cats. The bigger issue, so the fact that it worked out and everything came together, and my main goal was to have a good camp for the attendees. And as for the feedback I've gotten, that's what happened. So I'm happy that way.
So let me ask you a question, Adam. We talked about this in the interview that we did on the hallway track. So there's we go into that in that kind of 20-minute interview or whatever. That'll come out at some point. But so WordCamp LA was actually at 400 attendees, right, this year and last year, and then before that was bigger and had like two locations. And in a market like LA, like we're huge, like we've got
Millions.
just a wide swath of land. Do you guys like? Is there a conversation happening about maybe making one big one and then a bunch of littler ones, or is that like something that you are trying to talk about?
So as I mentioned in that interview, I was thinking next year possibly go bigger. The drawback, there's pros and cons. The pro is, can it be done? Yes. Do venues exist? Yes. But it just takes that much more work and a team to do it.
You're saying in LA there's events larger than 400 people?
Just a few.
Okay.
So, but then the issue is, like Natalie McLeese said, a year or two ago, she did a blog post on it about the scale of a WordCamp. If it gets too big, does it lose that community feel? And it's something to consider. So we can't go right now in the space that we had this past weekend, the past 4 years, in the 2-day camp. We're out of space for sponsors. Like that space won't go any bigger technically. We can't have there's no other room up there for another track. We have those 3 rooms. You can do 3 tracks, that kind of thing. So it's just a matter of, a different venue or a different location, and then how big do we want to go? Like Miami, 800. We could do 800.
I heard Steve has season tickets to the Clippers, and he can get you that arena.
Yeah, yeah, we'll go right to Staples.
Staples.
Wait, yeah, from the. So the interesting thing that Adam mentioned was that WordCamps are moving to being anchored by cities specifically, and that could potentially impact WordCamp Orange County. Have you heard anything about that, Steve?
No.
Because Orange County is a county, it's not a city. Unless you go to the city.
We're gonna have WordCamp
Orange.
Well, so I'm glad you brought that up. That's actually what Vegas is going through right now. That's why Vegas is kind of on the hold, is just because they're trying to zero down. And some of the
WordCamp Summerlin.
Yeah,
How does this work?
No. It's because some of the sponsors, they want to be listed on all WordCamps in a specific state, and they're trying to get down to city specific. So contracts have to be changed, and that's why a lot of things are being put on hold.
Interesting. There's a lot of interesting shifting going on in the foundation, in the background of what's happening with WordCamp. So I think they're going to shift, and I think that's interesting. LA's been kind of similar, the same way.
You could easily do a WordCamp Redondo Beach, Long Beach, but it'd be smaller.
Well, I actually am curious about the venue. It's something I've been curious about for the past few years, right? You hold it at Cal State LA, which the venue itself is fine, right? The classrooms are fine. It's just a little out of the way, right? That's the only criticism I've ever heard about the venue at WordCamp LA. Have you considered moving it to a more, not that there's a real central point in the city, but at least near an airport?
Staples.
Near a hotel.
Well, you could do El Segundo.
But the problem with LA is, because it's such a big market, it costs so much money to rent any space. So Cal State LA is still LA without being, like LA prices, which is next level.
Totally get it.
The venue for Cal State LA is, quote, free, but we have to use their food.
Okay. At least you get a lot of it.
It works out well for me.
So Adam, for folks that are, we were talking about this at WordCamp over and over again, this idea of I live in a small area, I want to start a WordCamp. How do I do this? Like, what was the percentage of the budget that you had that went to food? And, having that overage like that, how do you guys deal with that?
Percentage of food, technically, the sponsors come through, and they did, amazingly, towards the end, of course. You get stressed in the early because sponsors are just trickling in and checks don't come in. Ticket sales this year were slower than last couple years. Last couple years we sold out like in a day or 2 or 3 tops. This year we sold out with 10 days to go. Then some people did refunds and they did trades online. But then I had like 4 tickets left final day. I put them out and they sold in a minute. It was great. Most of the budget goes to the food. Well, typically the rest of the budget, any leftover, any surplus goes back to foundation. Helps the next camp on. Obviously we don't get to keep it.
Food and coffee.
How early were tickets on sale for WordCamp LA?
I'd have to look.
July. I looked because I saw when I bought mine. It was like July 18th or something.
So it's a couple months out.
Yeah. And honestly, we were slightly. You asked, the best part of it was the fact that it happened, Russ. the worst part from my perspective is I applied to the lead, got approved, got the team together, but then we had some people had to drop out because of just life. It happens. We're all volunteers. Somebody else stepped in, and then they disappeared. You know, it was interesting. Budget. It took a lot longer for me to get submitted. So we were about a month behind technically on the dates that they kind of give you guidelines. About 3 weeks behind, and that was a little stressful. So
my question, Adam, is what fears did you have before Saturday? Because I had crazy dreams leading up to WordCamp Vegas about like people are going to show up in costumes or what
Then it becomes a cause.
Is that a bad thing?
No.
No. Like if they show up as the Woo Ninja, we're cool. But you know, so my question is like what?
All of a sudden it's Comic-Con.
What were you freaking out about, and then what ended up like not being the case? Is what I'm getting.
I think I was most concerned about some of the vendors not like food venue for speaker sponsored dinner and after party checks hadn't gotten there in time because we just didn't get contracts signed and dealt with in time. And then I thought, it's stuff like that. At the end of the day, it worked out. It's I still haven't paid for the venue in LA because they didn't send me. They sent me the contract and updated the sign, the extra tables we had to get for sponsors. I got Cami Chaos to sign off on it. It was $30 more per day. Fine. I submitted it to my contact. That was a hiccup. The contact at the venue switched. The person we had from last year got a new job, moved to Napa.
Those are the struggles with event production in general. Like, and I think this is the key of why people say that it is a job, and that it takes such a toll on volunteers. Why they limit it to 2-year term? Right. Because event management and event production and planning is like it's like a business. It's like real work, and there's a lot of coordination. There's back and forth. Right. So it's a significant amount of effort that's involved.
Absolutely. A bit trickier on this than typical events because you're not the end authority. Like if you're running your own event, you can make a decision on venue and either you sign it or you don't. But here, everything had that one more layer of going to foundation, waiting for decisions. So there was things where you're kind of you have to wait a little bit before you can move forward where you wouldn't normally.
Just to be clear, though, I believe somewhere on Make WordPress or MakeWordCamp.org, it does say that you can either have the foundation's help or you can do everything personally through your own. But like you have to pay the taxes and blah 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 all that. So you technically could do that with a WordCamp, but traditionally it's easier to have the help from the foundation.
Right. Well, which we did, and that's the thing. Also, honestly, Russ, I didn't ask for enough help from Foundation, from the Slack channel, from my mentor, or from Alex. I didn't want to bug people, and in hindsight, that probably hindered me to some extent. I mean, definitely it put me behind. I was like, I figured it out. I'll do it myself, and that won't happen again.
How many decisions did you make by flipping a quarter?
97, just shy of 100.
Hey, so let's talk a little bit about what was different from this particular version of the WordCamp from the previous ones that have happened. This time around, you guys had quote unquote jam sessions, and having that, and then having Steve do his thing on Sundays where it was very business track focused. Where did you guys come up with that, and how did that work out for you?
Well, jam sessions. Go ahead, Thomas.
Yeah, I think we were all kind of thinking when we started looking at the sessions that were submitted and the talks submitted, we wanted to do something to give developers an opportunity to really develop. As a developer myself, it seemed like something that was important, but we also didn't want to clutter up all the main tracks with too much really heavy programming. My experience sitting in the audience is like looking at code from the back of a room on a projector, and like trying to like make sense of that is difficult,
You're like writing down functions. I've done that. At WordCamp US, I did that. I was in the back of this giant room trying to I was like, I'm writing down a PHP function.
So that's how I learned how to program, doing that at the developer meetup.
Yeah, I'm not knocking. I'm just saying it may not be the most efficient way to see it.
And honestly, I know that WordCamps lean towards new people in the community and heavy beginner stuff, traditionally. And you can't dive deep in 35, 40 minutes. So, that track itself was an invited track as far as those 3 speakers. Ben Cool here is one of them, flew in from Michigan. I mean, I should
Currie is.
can you please? Do you want to do 90 minutes? Can you do that? And they all said yes. So we got Andrew Norcross, Ben Cool, and Nathan Tyler, and it was well attended as far as I know. I walked in on all three of them; they were all well attended.
Were those also recorded? Will they be on?
No, those were not. Workshop was not.
It's
Gotta be there.
It's kind of like the same thing San Diego did, right?
Right.
Where they had a separate room and it was like an entire shop, and like we're going to
Right.
show you everything menus that we can.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing, though. I think that's a good thing because then you're allowing people to ask the questions that they don't want on public record, and
Right.
there's no reason for those things to be on public record.
Right.
Yeah.
And then as far as the other tracks go, the rest the way we pick tracks was a balance. Steve's track, the business track. I love the business track in San Diego 2 years, and I think it's important for people to have that through line. So hopefully people stayed put and got the most they could out of that track. And it was just a balance of trying to pick talks that we thought would be good for the community.
And what's interesting about talking about not having things on public record, then you have the polar opposite of having people that are running businesses that are doing all these talks with Steve where everything was put out there. I mean, people are showing their incomes, how much they're spending on stuff, what are they doing with things, and what it does is it allows somebody who's running a small shop to be able to look up at their essentially their mentors at some point here and be able to look at and say, okay, this is where I'm going to end up at some point here, hopefully in my career. What can I do, and what am I going to expect, and how am I going to deal with it? Right, Steve?
That was literally my first experience with WordCamp when I went to WordCamp OC and I went to Steve's talk, and it was the first time I'd ever seen anyone actually put real numbers out on board. Seriously, it was amazing because normally everyone holds that stuff so close to the vest, and he was the first guy who was actually saying, here's numbers we're dealing with, here's what we're doing. And it's great to have some sense of like where everyone, when they're beginning, they have no idea where to place themselves. What should you be budgeting? What you should be doing? And it's hard to figure that out. So getting someone who's doing it and doing well at it, telling you what they're doing, is incredibly valuable.
That's actually the question I had for Adam, because I've seen other other WordPress things like PrestigeConf where they actually do deep dive into numbers. Adam, you've been to many WordCamps. I'm stealing Say's words here, but what did you see from other camps that you were like, I'm doing that? Like, and what other things did you see that you were like, maybe not so much?
Badges.
No, not gonna talk about the badges.
Secret Service.
Yeah, no. The one thing I didn't do, which I was pretty adamant about, was I didn't have a speaker room.
I thought that was pretty great. I noticed that.
So I've been to too many camps. We had it at LA in the past, and so people said, "Hey, is there a room I can go to just chill and be there?" I'm like, "No, there wasn't." Natalie asked, and I'm like, "Nope, there wasn't."
Well, and without that, it forces the speakers to be out amongst
the people. It's community, and if you really are still prepping your slides, then you will find a space that you need to go sit down and work on your presentation.
Something I wanted to say about the business track real quick. I wanted to loop back. It's always fun to see somebody like Kareem reveal his secrets, kind of his sales secrets and his account management secrets, as to what he does behind the scenes with a client, but he's doing it on video, right? So, I've been in that situation where you're like, okay, how much do I want to talk about what I do behind the scenes with my clients? But, ultimately, it's okay to put all that aside.
At the end of the day, business operations and good business operations are only a part of the equation.
Right.
So
it's relationships. It's everything.
There's only one Steve, and the people who want to do business with Steve, they're like, Steve's my guy. But even if the same guy over here used the same business techniques, that might not be their guy, and that's the beauty of web, is there's so many different partnerships that are out there. So sharing your business secrets, I think it's
the secrets in the sauce.
Secrets in the sauce.
Well, what I liked about the formatting
within
what Steve was doing, the formatting was neat because it was like, okay, let's let these three people talk. And don't let them ask any questions or anything. Just let them talk, and then let's get them in a panel so that way it's not just one person that's answering the question. You're not having these repeat questions over and over again. What ends up happening is you have these people have essentially written down questions. At the end of the 3 sessions, they go and say, okay, here's my question. For you, how do you do this? And then for you, how do you do this? And you have a very unique, way of doing business altogether. So how are you doing that? And it was kind of cool to get 3 answers out of your one question.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Sarah, what was you were on the panel. So you were being moderated by Steve, which that did not come out right at all.
No.
But like, forgetting about Steve's moderation, Steve in moderation. How was your experience on the panel?
That's a good name for a band, by the way. Steve in moderation.
It's a good name for a band.
It might be a good album title. No, it was good. I mean, Steve and I already worked together, so I already pretty much, knew where he was going with all of it. It was good. Steve was good at taking questions from the audience and, reframing them a little bit so that they were more applicable to the whole panel. And, I just also personally appreciated that there were those, I was the lady on the morning panel, and then there was another woman on the afternoon panel. So lots of different perspectives, people who do different things. It was great.
One of the things that people always forget when they're doing any of these types of things is that you'll have the audience ask a question, and they'll ask this ridiculously long question. It's like they're writing a blog post, right?
No.
And then what happens is it doesn't show up on tape or on recording. So what ends up happening is Steve is going to have to sit here and try to figure out, okay, how do I interpret this to something that's like a sentence long, and then let me ask that question so that way it actually shows up on video.
Nope.
Not it.
Not
right,
it.
Steve? I mean, that's pretty much the way you have to go about it.
Well,
not only that, but it gets way worse when they start telling you, like, well, I started out in web design in 1937. Like, you're like, just get to your question, please. And they're like, what framework should I use?
Joomla.
Yeah, because I mean, questions, especially when it comes to like, how do I run my business kind of stuff. Sometimes the questions can be kind of, specific to one person's business.
Right.
Well, and what I loved is several of the questions were one question in 6 parts, right? So it was like, okay, let me see if I got this. Okay, we're first going to do A, and then we would go through that.
I feel like
the second part.
I feel like that's a jetpack joke. Like, do you use jetpack? And if so, which modules do you use? And if you use this module, how do you configure it?
And if you configure it, you pay extra for the upsell and for the extra storage of WordPress.
My favorite part of the business track was right as Ben Fox was setting up his presentation. Somebody from the audience said to Ben, "What am I going to learn during this presentation?"
No, that's always get that at least once at camp. Every camp.
Wow.
Ben said, "Well, this is what I'm going to cover." And I said to the guy after Ben finished giving his answer, I said to the guy, "Listen, this is the format of today. I promise if you stick around, you're going to learn something. Right? I guarantee it."
Well,
right?
here's the thing about that question. Not to get
one second.
Here was the best part.
All right.
Is during Ben's panel, that guy was asleep.
Oh, well, see, that's actually what I was going to say, because it's all about, it's not just what am I going to learn from this person who's up here who's decided to share something with me from their experience. It's or not what are they going to teach you, but it's what are you going to learn. Like, the audience has to take from it what they can, and that's where the question and answer and the panel format, I really like that sort of format. I wish we'd do that more with WordPress itself and not just relegate it to like business topics. But
so he learned that WordCamp's a good place to rest.
He got something out of it.
He got a nap.
Maybe he was studying the REST API.
I want to leave you guys with a question, and my question is WordCamps of past used to always start with like a welcome to WordPress, like a beginner kind of talk, like here's how the dashboard works.
Foundation Friday.
Yeah, but do you almost think it's better to replace that session with like a quick FAQ section of like, here's probably all the things you're probably going to ask, let's get them out of the way first thing in the morning?
I'll answer that by...
That's a great idea, an FAQ
I'll answer that by next year in the thought of expanding the LA's camp and the size. I'm still leaning towards the 3-day format, Foundation Friday, normal Saturday tracks, Sunday maybe contributor day again. We don't know. We just finished yesterday, Russ. Ask me in a week.
By the way, Russ, Sarah's new band is called WordCamps of Past.
WordCamps of Past. That's awesome.
Well, I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. I think we're a power metal band.
I think many people here, though, have been to WordCamps and they've seen, like, okay, we know there's going to be, this question about Jetpack or this question about CF7. I kind of feel like we could localize that into one talk or one panel thing, and let's just get all those questions out of the way.
We'll just call the first session. Let's get it out of the way.
We'll call the first session.
So we can move on.
Well, it's an ask me. It's an ask me. It's an ask me anything. Actually, I did something similar in Chicago this year, where there was someone canceled, so Kyle Maurer and I stepped into the room. It was an ask us anything, and they did for about 90 minutes. It was great.
I also think WordPress should have their own bacon number, and we call it a Jetpack number.
Oh, wow.
Folks, that is about it for today. Thank you very much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
If you want to hear more about this type of stuff, you can go over to WPwatercooler.com/hallwaytrack and go take a look at all the stuff that Say actually let other people speak. It was really cool. And she
It only took 204 episodes.
We thought we'd do an
not
entire
today.
show devoted to it.
Oh.
So go over to the
I thought you
website
meant
and do
right
that.
now.
And
Right
if
now.
you're watching this on YouTube, click on the subscribe button. We'd love to see that. And if you liked it, hit the thumbs up button. We'd appreciate it. Folks, you have a good rest of your day. Thank you all for doing what you do. Talk
See you
to
next year.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.